You've probably spent a few minutes scrolling through endless reviews, watching video after video, and still feel that knot in your stomach. What if you drop a few grand on a cabinet saw that just doesn't fit your shop, or worse, one that puts you at risk every time you push the fence forward? I get that. The last thing you need is another piece of equipment that gathers dust on the floor and never gets used because it's the wrong size, the wrong power, or the safety story is just a marketing line. So before you click Add to Cart, let's walk through the real-world experience of the SAWSTOP 10-inch industrial cabinet saw, 3 HP, with the 36-inch T-Glide fence, and see if it actually earns a spot on your bench. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest thing people worry about with any saw that sits in a permanent shop location is safety. SAWSTOP's patented safety system isn't just a buzzword. It's a brake that activates the instant the blade contacts flesh, dropping the blade's speed from 3,200 revolutions per minute to a complete stop in a fraction of a second. In a busy shop where apprentices are learning the ropes and you're juggling multiple cuts, that extra layer of protection can be the difference between a close call and a trip to the ER. The system is built into the motor housing, so you don't have to retrofit anything, just flip the switch and you're covered. Reliability is another frequent pain point. A 3-horsepower motor on a cabinet saw can feel like a double-edged sword. It gives you the torque to push through dense hardwood, but if the motor is temperamental, you'll be staring at a dead machine after a few weeks. The SAWSTOP industrial model uses a heavy-duty motor that's been praised for staying cool under load, which matters when you're pulling 10-inch cuts on 2-inch thick stock for a cabinet run. The motor's durability shows up in the way the saw holds speed as the blade engages the wood, giving you a consistent feed and reducing the chance of tear-out, something that matters when you're trying to keep a tight tolerance on dovetail joints. Now, let's talk about the 36-inch T-Glide fence. The T-Glide isn't just a fancy name. The fence slides along a linear rail that minimizes wobble, so each cut stays parallel to the last. If you're a production woodworker laying out a series of 10 identical shelves, that fence lets you set a 0 point once and then pull the fence out for each subsequent cut without the little drift you get on a cheap, loosely mounted fence. The fence also folds flat when you need to store the saw or switch to a crosscut, which is a small convenience that adds up over months of daily use. Dust collection is often an afterthought that ends up being a deal breaker. The SAWSTOP cabinet saw includes a built-in dust port that can be hooked up to a shop vac or a dedicated dust collector. In my shop, that port reduces the amount of fine sawdust that settles on the floor and drifts into the air, which not only keeps the workspace cleaner, but also helps maintain the longevity of the motor and electronics. You'll still want a good filtration system, but you won't be fighting a cloud of dust every time you make a rip cut. So who should actually consider buying this machine? If you run a small to medium woodshop that does repetitive panel cuts, cabinet doors, or custom furniture pieces, the SAWSTOP safety system and precision fence pay off quickly. The 3 HP motor gives you the power to handle hardwoods without bogging down, and the integrated dust collection keeps the environment safer for anyone who spends long hours in the shop. It's also a solid fit for serious hobbyists who have outgrown a contractor-style table saw and are looking for a piece of equipment that can stay put, do the job day in and day out, and protect a family member who might be helping out. On the other hand, if you're an occasional DIYer who only cuts a few boards a month, the upfront cost and the floor space required for a cabinet-style unit might not make sense. A portable job site saw or a smaller contractor saw could handle most of your projects without the need for a dedicated dust collection line or a permanent fence system. Similarly, if your shop has limited square footage, say you're working out of a garage or a small basement, the 36-inch footprint of the T-Glide fence plus the cabinet's depth can be a tight squeeze, especially when you need room for outfeed tables and storage. There are a couple of practical trade-offs to keep in mind. The 10-inch blade size limits the maximum depth of cut to around 21/2 inches, which is fine for most cabinet work, but might be restrictive if you routinely rip 3-inch thick stock for things like tabletops. You'd need to upgrade to a larger blade or switch to a different saw for those occasional heavy cuts, which adds an extra expense. Also,